What's up, everybody? It's a beautiful spring day on the third day of spring. The days are long now, golf season is in, and I'm hoping to help you play your best golf this year. And we're building a swing from the ground up. Last video I posted a lesson on the grip and how that's important to hold on to the club. So this is the follow-up to that. This is lesson 2. This is going to be how to move your upper body. So once you have your grip on the club, and you're able to do this hinge motion that we talked about, then we want to also incorporate the rotation of the upper body. And this really involves just a unit turn, the same way you would turn in tennis, moving the entire body on top of the lower body. That is a rotation like this. This is a drill that you can do to practice this. You really just want to get to where you can rotate 90 degrees. 90 degrees is already a lot. If you're really flexible, you can get more than that. And if you're not so flexible, you may not be able to get that far. It's okay. You just want to be able to turn as much as you can, but 90 degrees is sufficient. So we just want to go from this to that. This is a full body turn. Notice that this is different. Moving the body 90 degrees is different than just moving the arms. Here I'm moving my arms but not rotating my shoulders. We want to rotate the body like so. Move the entire upper body as one piece. Okay, some key points here. When I grab the club and put my hands on it, we naturally form a triangle. And that triangle is the left arm is one side of the triangle, your chest is another side of the triangle, and your right arm forms the third side of the triangle. So I have this triangle that I form by grabbing the club. When I move the club away from the ball, I want to move this with the triangle together. This is like my plane. So I move that where I want the club to go, and of course, we know that the right arm folds under and the left arm comes over. So when I move the club away from the ball, or takeaway, I want to move the triangle as one piece. This is very stable, this is very solid. This allows me to get the club moving in the direction that I want to when I first take it away. So the triangle is very important. Consider when you move your way from the ball, your takeaway, moving the triangle as one piece. This triangle piece here, just like so. One piece takeaway. It's very strong. Also, generally speaking, the shaft will form a straight line with the left arm, or your lead arm. In the case of a right-handed golfer, it will be your left arm. For a left-handed golfer, it'll be the right arm. But from the perspective of a right-handed golfer, your lead arm, you want the shaft, your left arm, you want it to be straight with the shaft. So if I hold the club, I want my formation to be like this, so that the shaft is straight with my left arm. I do not want to approach the ball and set up to the ball such that the shaft is like this, where it's straight with my right arm or even halfway in between. It's best if it's even with my left arm, because really the left arm is what's connecting us to the club, and therefore the shaft is an extension of my left arm, because that's what's leading the club through the swing. The right arm is trailing in the swing, the left arm is leading, so it's really what is the radius of the circle that we form of our swing. When I swing, my radius is going to be my left arm, the point from my shoulder to the end of the club, which you can see is quite long. This is my radius, that's how far away it is when I swing. So this is, I want the shaft to be straight with the left arm. The right arm comes under, and for the right arm, it's kind of important that the elbow is pointed upwards. This enables you to make this motion so that when you hinge, the right arm folds into you and does not fly up. We do not want the elbow to fly up like this at any point of our swing, because then we kind of get stuck and we'll hit some poles. So in order to prevent the right elbow from flaring out, flying out, it's helpful and not to stand like this where I have the inside of my elbow pointed inward. I want this elbow to be pointed, the back side of my elbow to be pointed up, so that when I turn, it will fold like this. And the top of my swing, I will be here and not here. Like this, left arm meets, like so. Not like this. So it is helpful for the right arm when you set up, for the right arm to be tucked under and for the elbow to be up, so that it allows you to fold into this position. So when we get ready to take the club away, we want to take the club away with one piece with our triangle, like I showed you. Now notice that my hands are in front of my body. My body is pointed this way, my hands are in front of my body. When I take the club away, I want to continue to have my hands in front of my body. I don't want my hands to start moving behind my body, nor in front of my body. I want them to be in front, so that if I turn my body this way, my hands are still in front of my body. So we turn everything one piece away, and we rotate. Rotate, and rotate away. We reach the top of our backswing. The club then hinges. As we hinged it before, the lever, we activate the lever in the backswing. Notice that my hands are still in front of my body. Here they're in front, I can hinge them in front of my body, and then I can rotate and have them still in front of my body. You see, I've not moved them behind my body yet. So we turn, the upper body works like this, it turns, we reach the top of our swing, we stop turning, the club hinges, and then we move back to the ball. But the takeaway is just this, a rotation, and then stop and hinge. That's it. Goes back, stop and hinge. Very simple. From the side. Also notice that I'm practicing this horizontally because it's easier to understand the swing horizontally, and then once you understand it horizontally, you can apply the same technique this way. It's the same idea, but we just add a slant, but it's easy to understand and visualize and practice just standing straight up without the slant. Now, of course, the way that gravity acts on the club is going to be different when you're swinging it like this as opposed to swinging it like this, but essentially you're moving the body the same way. You're just bent over some. You increase your spine angle and now you're down the ball, but we can understand it from here. So you swing back, I stop my swing, the club hinges, and then I return to the ball. The backswing is we go back 90 degrees, the club hinges, and then we go back. Now, of course, I'm doing this in pieces, and the golf swing need not be approached in pieces. The golf swing works best when it's a fluid motion. So I'm not going to hit balls by going back, hinging, and then attacking the ball. That's not fluid at all. It needs to be fluid, so you'll develop fluidity, but to practice the motions, you can just practice them at any pace, just to make sure you can do this. So we move the body back, hinge, and then go back. The hinging of the club. In the last video, I showed you that the arms work like this, so that the club hinges like that. The right arm comes in, the left arm punches out, like this, and then it unhinges the other way. But in my swing, as I'm actually hitting the balls, that's not actually what hinges the club. What hinges the club is the inertia and the momentum of the club itself. The club is rather heavy, so when I start moving this back in a circle, the law of inertia says an object in motion will tend to stay in motion. So once I start it back on this path, the club wants to continue to travel on that path. So you just need to allow that to happen. So that means if I move this club back, there's already some inertia on the club. As I'm moving it back, it wants to continue moving on that path, on that plane. So that means once I reach this point of my full rotation, I've reached 90 degrees. Once I stop my upper body rotation, the club naturally wants to keep going in that direction. We just have to allow that by relaxing the hands, being soft in the hands, and allowing the club to cock itself. The weight of the club itself will drag it around. Watch. So I'm going to turn back, and then I'm going to stop at this point, but the club will continue going and hinge. I'm not actually hinging it, it's the weight of the club doing it by itself. My hands are soft enough to allow that to happen. Demonstration. I'm going to go back. My hands are very soft. Watch this, I'll just swing with an open grip. My hands are like barely on the club here. And I go back and stop, and you see that the club wants to go behind me there. It wants to go back because inertia wants it to do that. This is physics. Back. Now, of course, my hands are not on there that well, so it's very sloppy and the club is rotating. But with our grip, which will allow the club to hinge, but also allow us to have some control over it within the fingers, the hands, palms are on top. Now you can see that when I grip it and I make that rotation and stop, the hinge happens very nicely, where the face is still in my control. When I stop my rotation, the club hinges itself. I don't actually deliberately hinging the club. I just turn, stop, and it hinges. Turn, stop, the club hinges. You need to be able to feel that weight of that club hinging itself. This is what gives you feel. This is what gives you an awareness of what the club is doing and where it is in your backswing when you decide to hit, when you go to hit golf balls. Go back, stop, and it hinges. Stop, and it hinges. Stop, and it hinges. Turn back, stop, and it hinges. Another thing about the takeaway. Many people, when they golf, they take it away and they want to take it away from the club out, from the end away. In other words, you want to move the club head first, but you can't move the club head first. This doesn't give you any feel. If you want to have some feel on the club head, you want to have a little bit of reverse lag. When I take the club head back, the club lags behind somewhat. See, in other words, we don't move the club head away from the ball. We move our body and the club head follows us. When we first, because the club head is heavy. So when I first move my body, notice the club head lags behind. It's very difficult for me to move the club from the club out away from the ball like this. I want to move such that when I move my body, the club lags slightly behind and then catches up. That little bit of reverse lag allows the feel of the club and allows me to feel where it is when it eventually catches back up and throws back into my hinge. That little bit of momentum helps the club hinge also, because it goes from this way to this way. It's very helpful to have that reverse lag for feel. If you take it back stiff and rigidly like this, it's difficult to have feel that way. I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm just saying it's better and easier to have the feel of the club by reverse lagging it, moving your body first and letting the club follow you. Because it's weighted on the end, the body will move first and then the club will follow. If you watch the greatest golfers, Jack Nicklaus, Ben Hogan, Bobby Jones, and watch their swings in slow motion, you'll see that they exhibit the same reverse lag, especially Bobby Jones. When he takes the club back, he moves his body and the club stays in the same place, and it very much almost drags on the ground behind him, and then he flips it up and then attacks the ball. That you can see that reverse lag. That reverse lag will give you a great amount of feel, a little bit of extra time to feel where the club is, and just to get your hands an idea of where it is. We're never going to take the club back the same way twice. It's very difficult. But with that little bit of feel, at least you know where it is, and you can make slight manipulations and changes depending on how you took the club back. So having reverse lag is important in your golf swing. So we can think of the golf swing in three phases: the takeaway or the backswing, the transition, and then the downswing, and then maybe the release. So in the takeaway, we just talked about that, one piece, then hinge. The transition area is how the club moves when you're going from this rotating in this direction to rotating back towards the ball. The transition area is where you need to be most relaxed, so that you're not snatching the club off of its plane that you set it in motion with the inertia of rotating your body. You want to be able to rotate back at the ball and allow the club to stay on that plane so that it will deliver at the ball. In the transition phase is where the club will lag behind. I know a lot of you have heard the concept of lag. What is lag? Lag is nothing more than the differential of your body part of your body going one way and the other body going the other part of your body going the other way, creating a stretch of the muscles, tightening a spring, and then releasing that spring. You do this when you throw a ball. When you throw a ball, you go back, and then before the ball reaches the end, the top of your backswing, say in your throw, you're already moving the other way, and this lag creates this stretch, and then the ball slinks. That's lag. So to create lag, you essentially are going to be rotating in one direction, and before you reach the top of your swing, you start rotating the other way, like so. This lags behind. I mentioned in the first part of this video that we keep the hands in front of us. Even when it's hinged, it's still in front of us. However, once I reach the top of my swing and I start rotating back, notice how now my arm has wrapped around my body like this. This wrapping around my body is my lag. No different than when throwing a frisbee. You wrap your arm around your body and then sling it. The left arm works the same way in the golf swing. We go back, the left arm wraps around the body, the right arm is under, hinges, and you see now my hands are behind me. They're not in front of me like where I started, they're back here. This is our impact position. So from here, I will continue rotating through the ball and eventually hit it like this. I'm not gonna hit it like this because the hands are behind me, so eventually I'll hit the ball like that with my body rotated open towards the target. Something like this. This is my impact position. So with the transition, in the transition, we become soft and we start rotating the body towards the target without snatching the club off the plane. We go back, allow it to hinge, and then come back to the ball. Back, allow it to hinge, come back to the ball. The arm wraps around the body, creating this lag where now the club is behind us. Okay, so I want you to see it from this angle. Go back, it hinges, lags behind. This is the lag. My body goes back the other way, but my hands stay in the same place. Once you've taken your backswing and you've hinged the club and you're moving back towards the ball and you've lagged it, now we're ready to initiate the downswing. The downswing is going to be the reverse of the backswing. We're just going to rotate the upper body back towards the ball, just like this. Upper body rotation, maintaining our hinge. We don't throw the hinge yet. The hinge will be thrown at the release or at impact. To initiate the downswing, we go back, allow the hinge, allow the hand to wrap, and we start rotating back towards the ball with the upper body. Once you're ready to impact it, essentially once your hands get close to impact, maybe slightly before impact, this is when we want the club to unhinge and then hit the ball. We want the club to unhinge at the ball. I don't want the club to unhinge over here. I don't want the club to unhinge over here. I want the club to unhinge at impact, like so. To get the club to unhinge, we do the reverse of what we did on the backswing. In the backswing, I told you the club hinges itself when we stop. If we stop, the club wants to keep going this way. I move my arm back, I stop, it wants to keep going that way. To get the club to release, the same thing is true. Once I have the club hinged, if I move this way, if I want this club to unhinge, I have to stop my hand, my rotation this way. Once I stop this way, the club will pass me. It's the stopping of the arm that allows the club to unhinge. In other words, if I have it hinged and I continue to move my hands forward, the club will never release. The face will be flared open. The hinge never unhinges. Or it'll unhinge late when I do slow down eventually over here. If I want that club to release at the ball, which would be here, I have to slow down there and allow the club to come back in. You can see how that happens. I stop here, I'll start applying the brakes. This allows the club to unhinge and catch up and hit the ball. I know it seems counterintuitive that you want to try to stop to accelerate it, but that's exactly what happens. The stronger and faster that you can stop your acceleration will increase your speed. So again, to hinge the club, we rotate back, stop our rotation, the club hinges by itself, lags behind, the hands stay behind, the arm wraps around the body, we move back to the ball, and then we stop again, and the club unhinges. You can only only feel this unhinging if your grip is relaxed pressure, as we talked about in the first video. Very light grip pressure so that you can feel the club unhinging. My left hand is a little bit tighter, squeezing the grip a little bit more than the right, because the left hand is what holds onto the club to prevent it from sliding out of your hand as you're swinging it away from you. And you might think that this doesn't seem very powerful, but it actually is. I'll show you a couple of swings here. That swing that I'm making there will send this 9-iron 125 yards. I use this to get the ball close from that distance. It's a small swing, it works well. I know I'm choking it all the way down. That swing is plenty to send this ball over 120 yards on the carry. So practice this motion, moving your body, rotation, and then coming back and releasing. Once you release the club at impact, you don't have to worry about the release. Once you stop your body and the club releases, the momentum of the club going that way will take you into your follow-through. I just allow it to go there. I just become relaxed in that moment and allow it to wrap around my body, as you see there. A great drill to practice your upper body rotation is to take your club onto your shoulders like this, like you're doing a squat. You can just stand straight up or be in your golf posture, either way, and practice moving from one side to the other. Really try to turn your upper body only without turning your hips. But if you want to rotate your hips, that's fine too, just like in the golf swing. Just find a gentle movement and practice this rotation. This is your upper body turning on the spinal axis. This is the foundation of stability in your golf swing and the support. So this is a great drill. Eventually you want to get where you can make this motion in your golf swing like so, where you are turning back and then through the ball so that the club is staying on a plane, not doing this number or standing up like this, but that the club passes under like so. So this is a great drill to practice, just to train your body to move that way.